Yes? And one of the things that came up when we were in Greece was our guides channeled to Mary a list of things that can help you have a stronger connection with your guide, practical things that can help you have a stronger connection with your guardians and your guides. And perhaps it's a good time to mention some of those things, isn't it? You've still got the book with you. I just remembered the first one. There's quite a few that I'll list. Some of them are physical things you can do in terms of your lifestyle. And other things are more emotional things that you will need to do to have a stronger connection with your guides. The first physical thing that you can do is drink more than 3 litres of water per day. That's a challenge for some. I normally drink around 5 litres of water a day myself, and I was told by my spirit friends at times that I'm not drinking enough. Right? The reason why water is very important is because there are many reasons that were given in Greece, and if you want to hear that recording, it should be available on the website soon. The reason why water is essential is that water, because we are made of mostly water, spirit bodies of the spirits with us are made mostly of water as well. And in fact, all emotion is more easily transmitted through water. And in fact, sound, if you think about it, is more easily transmitted through water as well. As physical. These are all physical facts. Now, most of you know of the studies that were done where a person loved the water and the water structure changed. Yes? Can you see if the water wasn't present at all, then how would it have changed? It wouldn't have changed at all. It's the water that allows for change often to occur. So drinking water is a very, very important part of your connection with God and your connection with your guides, actually. It's also a very important part of your connection with yourself, because the majority of yourself is already water. And when you think about it, around 70% of your daily intake should be water. Of your daily intake, including food and everything else, 70% of it should be water, because 70% of your body is water. So how are you going to sustain this? Now, most of us are in a severely dehydrated state at most times. And that causes our guide and our guardians difficulty communicating with us. Yes? Yeah. The question is, are we talking about coffees and teas? Definitely not. And the way your body responds to water that has something in it is very, very different to the way your body responds to water itself. And your body actually treats coffees and teas, particularly if there's things like milk or sugar in those particular beverages, it treats them as a completely different substance in the way that it processes them and the way that it actually processes them in your stomach. Water, when you drink it, almost instantly gets processed through your kidneys and your liver and into your bloodstream. Most other substances have a digestive process that they engage, which instantly stops the water from filtering. The water gets through, obviously, but not instantly. It's through a process, which is quite demanding on the body, particularly if it's coffee. It's very demanding on the body. So drinking water itself is the best thing to do. So that's number one. Now, number two would also make sense if you think about it. What do you reckon it might be? If water is important, no, let's stay on the water subject. Think about the food. Food with a lot of water in it is also going to be important. Does that make sense? So fruit and vegetables both have a lot of water in them, right? And besides being live most of the time and having a lot of other minerals in them, a diet that consists mostly of fruit and vegetables or only of fruit and vegetables is going to, and I'd include nuts, so anything vegetable at all, in that, is going to have a large effect on your ability to hear your guide and guardian. All right? So it's going to be very, very powerful effect, fruit and veggies. Is there any questions about that? Fruit and veggies? No? Very?
If they're cooked or raw?
Sorry?
Cooked or raw?
Well, obviously if they're raw, they have they've been less modified and therefore have a higher amount of water in them, but also they have a higher amount generally of minerals that have not been modified through the cooking process. So it's far better if they can be raw than they are to be cooked. Yep. So a diet with that. And myself and Mary, we probably about, most of the time when we're at home, we probably about 95% raw. In other words, every day we would eat 95% of our food would be raw. And then maybe once a week we might have a cooked meal, something like that. Okay? Can you see that now almost everybody who connects to spirits finds that once you change your diet and you drink more water, you instantly have a strong connection. And in fact, many people for the very first time in their life only get a connection with their guide or guardian, on speaking terms I'm speaking, once they do those two things. Right? And many times before then they can't even connect with their guides or guardians until they do those two things. Okay. The third thing, Mary might need to prompt me.
Yep. Getting connected with your body.
Oh yes, that's right. Feelings. Connect with your body.
And they talked about gentle exercise rather than extreme.
Yeah, in a gentle way. You see, quite often what we do when we do exercise is we're quite extreme. Like we put our body through a lot of stress sometimes to do exercise. Now, while that may help your heart and improve the body's general cardiovascular functioning, it often is also done for the purpose of an addiction to avoid how we really feel sometimes. And a lot of times it's done so we get that high, that what do they call them? The endorphins in the brain high that we get from that extreme physical activity. What our guides are suggesting to you is not to do that so much if you want to connect with them. Still do that if you want to exercise, but have times when you actually connect with your body and how it feels in a gentle manner. So that can be done using all sorts of techniques. Yoga and Pilates and those kind of things are fine, but also just laying on your bed, breathing diaphragmatically and feeling your body. Now, a lot of us don't want to do that because as soon as we feel our body, we start feeling its aches and pains, and we want to get away from those aches and pains. But our aches and pains tell us what's unloving. You see, once we're in a condition of pure love, we will not have any aches and pains at all. That's another reality. And yet many of us are so used to aches and pains we don't even believe that that's a possibility. And connecting with your body can help you understand what problems you have in your body and then what feelings are associated with those particular problems. The other thing that happens is when you connect with your body, your guides are able to help you in this process of discovering what's wrong with it, of actually healing it, the process of healing what's going on with your body. If you don't connect with your body, it's very, very hard for them to inform you what's going on.
Foster imagination and creativity.
Yeah, I think I'd like to go to the next one, which was desire and passion. If you're home, sitting on your backside, watching telly, it's very, very hard for somebody to guide you. The reason why is because you're getting a bombardment of things already, of information already from another source, and then on top of that, you're not active. You're not actually going ahead to do something. if you can connect with your passions and desires, the things you'd like to try to do in your life, the things you want to do in your life, and connect to them with passion, with a strong desire, while you're in your passion, your guides can give you thoughts here and there to bring you to certain things. Now, many of you have noticed already through your own lives that when you desire to do something really intensely, that all of a sudden it seems like people who want to help you with your desires come into your life. And have you noticed that? Like different things happen that pull different people into your life, and you go, wow, how come I never met you before? Well, because you didn't engage your desire before to do that particular thing. And once you did, your guides and their guides could tee up a meeting once you actually engage the passion, you see. So this is a very important part of connecting with your guides, is to actually feel your true desires. Now, this is where you have to also be quite careful, because if you're used to abdicating your will to other people, what you're going to do is feel the desires of others rather than your own. And unfortunately, from a very young age on the planet today, we are taught to do what other people want us to do rather than what we want. So we're almost immediately involved in this process of doing what the other people want or doing what society wants rather than doing what we want. And so that brings me to the fifth point, which I'll place the top one with, and that is to feel yourself rather than focusing on others' feelings. You see, while you're always focused on other people's feelings and you're always trying to get things from other people, like what they feel and what they think about you and all those other things, it's very, very, very hard for you to have your own feelings. And your guides and guardian communicate with you. One of the primary ways they communicate with you is through your own feelings. So if you're so in tune with everyone else's feelings and not in tune with any of your own feelings at the same time, it's very, very hard for them to communicate with you. Very hard for them to give you, guidance and help. Yeah?
I don't know if you have a 6 or a 7.
There are a few more, but yeah.
Okay. I wanted to know your attitude, understanding about using a media.
Using
another person, a
a medium?
Yeah.
Medium.
Yes, yep. My attitude to it is it depends very, very much on the medium. You see, if the medium, I've been to mediums myself, and it's quite interesting at times to see what's actually going on, and then what they describe is often very different. And the reason why what they describe is often very different is because they're not in a condition to see everything that's going on, but they assume they are. So a lot of times they don't have enough humility themselves to accept that there's actually other things going on than what they believe. For example, I went to one medium, and she is a heavy drinker, this lady that I went to. And it was very, very interesting, the mediumship that she did with me. Because my guides, I had to keep reminding her, look, I don't want to connect with the spirits that are with you. Because I could see they were all drinkers, right? And I didn't want to listen to drinkers through this interaction with the medium. And I said, look, I don't want to connect. And she would be going, but this is what I always do. I say, well, can we try something different? And she was open enough to do that. Many of them aren't. I've asked others and they've just said flatly no. And I said, fair enough. And I get up and go. And so she said, yes, I'll try something different. And I said, right, can you just, instead of connecting with the spirits that are around you, who she called her guides, which weren't her guides, they were actually all these drinking buddies that were drinking with her. She was quite a clear medium. Like she could accurately say what they were saying. But she was actually speaking the words of what she believed were guides, but were just these fellows who, they were all men around her, and they were all just having fun with her. and she didn't realise, you see. So I said, instead of doing that, can we just talk to my guides? So my guides attempted to talk with her, and she kept like getting interfered with by the other spirits. So I just stopped her again, and I said, look, at the moment what's happening is that you've got these spirits here speaking through you, and then my guides are trying to speak through, but these spirits over here are still being a nuisance, right? They're trying to muddy the waters, and so I said, we'll just pray together, and we ask these spirits to stay away for a little while so that we can talk to these guys. So we did that, and she starts communicating with my guides. But my guides started saying things that she couldn't believe, right? And so she stops, and she goes, I can't accept that, right? So my guides told her who I was, that I was Jesus. She said, I can't accept that. And then she said, I can accept that he has the Jesus energy. Right? So she could accept that. But now the medium, her own beliefs were now interfering with the channeling. And this is the problem that we face when we go to a medium, is that we have the combination of the spirits around the medium and the medium's own emotional condition or belief system that interfere with the accuracy of the mediumship. Now, so while it can be very helpful to go to the medium, it can also be quite distorting sometimes to go to a medium. It just depends on the condition of the medium. And sometimes we can misread, if we don't see the interactions that are going on in the spirit world, we often therefore trust the medium that she can see something that we can't. And when we do that and she is not, or he is not communicating accurately with the spirits, then we'll have a tendency to trust what's being said when it might be quite misleading. So my feelings are, but go with a open heart and open mind, and allow yourself to be aware that there are all of these factors that influence the medium's discussion with you. Yeah. Yep. Okay, well, let's look at another one, 6, which is this aspect of imagination. Allow your imagination. One way that most people on earth don't understand, but children understand very easily, is that guides connect to us through our imagination. What our imagination does is it allows us to see potentials that are beyond what we view as reality. Do you understand that? So what happens is that because we're brought up in society that's very physical in nature and so forth, we have a very, very limited concept of reality, what is real and what is not real. It's very tightly defined by society. What imagination allows us to do is to temporarily break the bondage of these physical limitations. And that allows us to actually conceive of things that are beyond the potential that we currently have. And that is how people like the Wright brothers, for example, discovered flight, in motorised flight. It was by having inspiration beyond what was the current conceived notion of what was reality. And this is something that all of us have the potential to do if we allow our imagination. When we allow our imagination, we receive what's called inspiration from our spirit friends, our guides and guardian in particular, but also from other spirits. We have the potential of receiving inspiration. And inspiration causes us to think of things that we are completely, and sometimes the whole world is completely unaware of at the time. And this is how new discoveries often get made, by actually people using their imagination, and then that allows spirits to connect to them and actually give them information about things that have not been previously thought of or discovered. So imagination is a very important thing to use. Now, it doesn't mean that everything you're imagining is true, but it allows you to open the potential and open your conception potential. What you are conceiving as reality is extended. And if you think about it, the only way as humanity that we can actually grow to a new condition is for all of us to have our thinking and our feelings extended, to see things differently than what we currently see them. If we continue to see them as we currently see them, we obviously are going to continue to have the same kind of life. And that's not going to be very good if you think about it, because most of the time it's not a very happy life for most people. So we need to grow by having our imagination.
With sometimes when I sit and go into imagination, the thing I have confusing is about my guides and knowing who they are and stuff, and the spirits that come in that are not so good,
Yep.
and putting images into my mind of imagination,
Yep.
trying to discern which.
It is quite simple to discern, generally, because all we've got to ask is 3 primary questions. Is it loving? Does it feel or sound truthful?
Yeah.
Right? And is the spirit seemingly in a humble state or not? Now, if a person has humility, and this applies to the spirits as much as yourselves, if a person has humility, they will let you question them. They will let you ask further questions if you're, needing clarification.
Right.
A spirit who doesn't have humility will not do that. So I went to there was another medium visited who maybe I'll relate one that my friend John visited. Right? He went to this medium. She said, I've got the Archangel Gabriel and the Archangel Michael here with me. They've got messages to tell you. And he says, well, I'd like to, and John, unbeknown to her, can see spirits and also feel them. So he goes, well, I would like to confirm their identity. Thank you. I would like to ask them some questions about their identity. The instant he said that, the spirits got into a rage and she got angry. And she said, how dare you ask them questions such as that? How dare you question me in my integrity? So instantly angry. Now, a spirit who's humble won't do that. Right? And then she said, if you're going to continue to do this, I want you out of my office. And then as he got up to walk out, because he decided he would walk out straight away, she got a smudge stick. And those of you know what the general purpose in New Age philosophy is of a smudge stick is to clear out bad entities. She got a smudge stick and lit it and smudge sticked around him to get rid of John. Right? In other words, she believed that he was the bad influence. The reality is the spirits were not in a state of humility, and they were unwilling to disclose truth. They can't be the spirit she's claiming. Does that make sense?
So I've got a lot of interference and spirits that.
Yep. So the key is to question them and to see. If you question them and they don't like questioning, then a person who is your guide and guardian wants to establish a connection with you that is honest, truthful and loving. Always.
Yeah, I've had problems trusting who's around me.
Yeah, and that's fine. And sometimes because of our, understandably, we do have problems trusting because sometimes there are around us quite dark entities and we need to know the difference between them. And so what I would like to do in my next my next talk with you, which will be on the 26th of this month, is I'd like to discuss with you the other types of entities that connect with us, and in particular the ones that influence us negatively without our being aware of such influence, and how we can become more aware of their influence. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yep. And I feel that would be a very important part of your own development, because I can feel in many of you here there is very strong ability to connect with spirits, and therefore a strong ability to have conversation with them, to actually have thoughts dropped into your mind from them and so forth. But you do need to have the sensitivity to tell the difference between a spirit who is a darker type of entity or one of these two people who are trying to assist you in your progression. My feeling personally is that once you know the truth about anything, it allows you the freedom to actually discover many more things. When we stay very fixed on a specific idea or principle in our own mind, in other words, fixed that the spirit who's with me, communicating with me, is my guide, and yet at times he demonstrates a lack of love and a lack of truth and a lack of humility with me, and I can prove it, then, and yet I still stay addicted to the fact that he's my guide, then I'm not allowing the concept that maybe this person isn't my guide and is actually influencing me negatively, and my real guide is behind the scenes there waiting to connect to me, to inform me of such a thing, and yet can't connect with me because I'm listening to the other spirits instead. I also want to raise with you, the next time I talk with you, the possibility of this, and that is our belief systems severely control who we connect to in the spirit world. In other words, if I have very, very fixed belief systems about certain things, now those things can be belief systems about myself. In other words, I think I'm a good person, but half the time I'm not. That kind of belief system. Or belief systems that include our spiritual thought. In other words, addicted to a certain type of religion or certain types of practice or whatever. Or any other belief systems to do with science and all of these other things that we can believe in. If they are not harmonious with love, truth and humility, these belief systems, you'll find they'll always have a fair degree of involvement of negative influence from the spirit world. And so what we need to be able to do is determine, through some basic processes, if you like, or some basic feelings, what or who we are actually being influenced by. My feelings are, firstly, I'd like to connect to God. But these two people can help me greatly in that process of connecting to God and also connecting to myself. Any other spirits who are around me will fall into some different categories, and those categories will firstly be, there might be some benevolent spirits that are not my guide or my guardian. In other words, they are spirits who benefit us through their interactions with us. They are still kind and loving, they are still truthful, and they still have humility, but they're not our guide or guardian. Now, obviously, those kind of spirits, be nice to know who they are and be nice to have conversations with them. Then there are a type of spirits who I would classify as neutral or investigative. In other words, they are spirits who are neutral towards you and are just looking at your life because they want to find out something. And sometimes spirits in the spirit world come to investigate all sorts of things. And the way they do that is by observing people on earth. And they observe their life and observe the different interactions and so forth in an investigative type of role. Now, they themselves in a way are questioning, aren't they? They are looking for answers. Otherwise they wouldn't be investigative. So you can actually engage them and help them in their investigations. And then the fifth group of spirits are what I would call malevolent. Is that how you spell it? Malevolent? In other words, they are purposefully there in an attempt to harm you. And there are many spirits in the spirit world who have that particular attempt. And then there are a sixth group of spirits, which I would call arrogant. These spirits think they're helping you while they're harming you. They're a bit like many of your mothers who think they're helping you while they're attacking you. You understand? You know, they come in and they look at your room, untidy room, and they go, "You're always untidy." And what does that make you feel? It makes you feel, oh, again, I've disappointed my mother, which was her goal, to control you, right? And these spirits are very similar to that. So while they aren't outwardly trying to damage your life, they can still impact upon your life and damage your life. Yeah? So what I would like to do with you, next time we get together, if you wish, is to discuss with you those group of people and what we can do to actually overcome their influences and connect more strongly to God. Because every time we connect to these spirits, these people, there are always reasons why we're connecting with them. And those reasons have all to do with what we introduced the topic with last fortnight ago, which is all to do with our lack of humility, a lack of truth, or a lack of love inside of ourselves. So if we can see the relationships of that, that'd be wonderful. So that's what I'd like to discuss with you next time you're here, if you want to come. Which is on the 26th, and I think it's at